it's such a crazy idea to listen to your customer, but why is it crazy? Aren't you producing the product because of the customer? Isn't that the reason why we're doing all this? Absolutely. And when people are seeing that you're making improvements based on their feedback as well, how can that be a bad thing? Everyone will love that. Because you listen and you actually implement.
You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Welcome back to another episode. With us today is a director and strategist for e-com stores with WFMA. They are a full-service e-commerce marketing agency dedicated to helping brands with annual business revenues between 100,000 euros and 1 billion euros to unlock new growth opportunities, online scale their businesses effectively and sustainably. Raminta, so excited to have you on. How you doing today?
Thank you. I'm really good, Chris. How are you? Thanks for having me on the podcast.
I'm doing so great. So excited to chat more with you. We were chatting a little bit before, but we also like to ask our entrepreneurs, what were you doing before that kind of led you into what you're doing today?
Yeah, I guess I'm probably one of the not few people, but I haven't actually moved into marketing from anything else. That's what I've studied. That's what I've worked in. That's what I'm doing now. I have sort of transitioned from different parts of, let's say my background is in retail marketing and PR, and my sort of early career and studies were in fashion marketing specifically. So I worked and studied that and worked in-house for quite a few years for different premium and luxury brands in London. That's how I got into the e-commerce side of things more. So started in traditional retail, sort of got my very traditional retail training from the likes of Louis Vuitton and All Saints and so on, and then moved into the more digital side of things as soon as I graduated. And that was tested different parts of marketing, e-commerce. When I was going into it, I think the industry was in a very different place from where it is now. So started as a very broad digital marketer, performance marketer, moved into more of the e-commerce role, email marketing, web content, did a lot of different things. But the common thing between them is that I'm working still with online retail, physical retail, mainly retail brands, mostly e-commerce, but saying that we do a lot of work with tech and B2B as well these days. Some things have changed, certain things have remained, but I'm definitely on kind of the same track as I was quite a few years ago.
That's very cool. And it sounds like you have a wide range of experience that makes you well-rounded, so you can pull from all these different experiences to help you with your clients. In e-commerce, it feels very different than traditional websites, but it's still the same. Like we're still trying to convince people that our product or our service is worth purchasing. And then we have next steps to the sale. But e-commerce, it's like going for the commitment right away. How does that change your strategy? What works well for e-commerce? What can business owners learn from e-commerce stores that they could maybe implement to their traditional websites?
So I think one thing that we can definitely learn from e-commerce, and a lot of B2B brands could be implementing that as well, is like digitalizing some of their products and selling them online as well, just like opening a new revenue stream of selling either workbooks or worksheets or anything. That's definitely one. And I think, as you were sort of saying in your question as well, it's not really that different, because in the end of the day, we're businesses marketing to people in any case or scenario. The difference is only in the product that we sell and how much of a trust we need from the person to be able to buy, how much education do we need to put into for someone to understand the value in what we're offering. And so in the end of the day, it's not that different. Just the product and the client life cycle is very different for a different industry. And therefore, your channels will be very different. Your strategies will be very different depending on the industry. But in the end of the day, we are marketing to people. So in that sense, not a lot changes there. Not a lot of the time, but I see brands forgetting that and thinking like we're B2B, but still behind every brand, there's people, and you are talking to the people. So whatever kind of business you are, you need to think about your client, think about what is important for them, how to bring them value, and present that in a digestible way.
Absolutely. And I definitely see a lot of businesses who have benefited from adopting an e-commerce model where they will put a cart and products and services online, where now users can just easily find the product that they want, the service that they want, add it to their cart, and now check out. And it's been very helpful for a lot of those businesses. And I've even tried it myself for my wedding DJ business here in the States. Something about it is easier for consumers to understand. And the self-service option seems to be really great. So kind of marrying all those elements together, but you have an entire strategy behind e-commerce, starting with the data that goes into it, the customer experience. Can you go over your strategy and how you kind of look at e-commerce brands to build them up?
Yeah, it all comes back to the data. And that's the first thing that we do. We look at their data. And a lot of the time, especially the brands that are smaller that come to us, they might think that their problems are somewhere else than they actually are. So without looking at the data, if you were a doctor and someone just told you, I've got this and that, give me a prescription, you wouldn't prescribe a medication without doing your checks. So in the same way, we do our checks to make sure that what we're being asked to deliver is actually what the client needs based on their goals and KPIs. So a lot of the time, yeah, that research part really directs everything else that we do after that, because I tend to always look for sort of low hanging fruits first, get those out of the way, get the most return as soon as possible, show that value to my client as well. And then from that, we can form a bigger picture strategy that is always a longer term, obviously being a strategy. And then we can see at what channels we may need to bring in. We need to work on conversion, or if we need to work on getting more traffic on the site and so on. So it kind of always goes back to the data, and it's hard to say one strategy that works for everyone. Obviously, there's a lot of tactics that we can use that definitely do work for everyone, like personalization, segmentation, understanding your customer life cycle, talking to them in the way that you do understand the life cycle. But when it comes to strategy, that data really does tell us what we need to be then doing next.
Right. Because without those informed decisions, it's kind of like we don't know which direction to go. If we don't know what has worked in the past, how do we feel confident in making a decision for our own business sake to decide what we want to do? But I love that you customize the
Exactly.
strategy. Like we take best practices, we know what has worked well, but it's really depends on the industry or what they're selling and who their audience is. So all those factors really play into the custom strategy that you're trying to implement.
Absolutely. And I don't believe in a cookie cutter approach these days. I think long past that in terms of how elaborate these days our marketing campaigns are and different channels involved and so on. So you can't really just be doing the same as everyone else, because that's not going to get you a better performance than everyone else's. And if you want to be growing, you have to overtake your competitors essentially.
Absolutely. And now, once we have people to our store, how do we provide them this seamless customer experience? Because oftentimes there's sticky points, there's friction in the buyer's journey, and they don't feel confident taking that next step. How do we create that seamless customer experience for them? And are there any tips to help improve that?
Yeah. So what we're seeing a lot with the clients that we work with is the websites that don't have enough information for someone to be able to make that decision. So a lot of the time you have a website that doesn't have enough information about your product, about how you do things, why you do them, who you are as a brand, or has all of that information, but it might not be presented in a way that we as humans understand. So then it still doesn't work. So I think it's important to track what your customers are doing on your website. I love text tools like your heat maps and your live recordings. And by watching a good dozen of those, you can start seeing the patterns of where people are getting caught, and then using that information to dictate your actions and what you want to A/B test. Maybe you can see that a certain banner is not working, or product descriptions are a problem if someone's reading the product description, but then they're leaving the page. So again, going back to the data, and I don't see enough brands doing that, especially on the website side of things, and especially the smaller medium brands. They just try to throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall and hope that something will stick, but not really understand why and where people are having issues. Simple things like taking feedback in from your customers and then actually putting that into practice. Someone's telling you that this product could do better on this certain thing, and you hear the same feedback again and again. That is a clear sign that you should be really looking at the product design and just incorporating those things into your FAQs as well, and just making sure that people get everything that they may ask even before they contact you. And then your customer service stays as the last point of contact when there's actually an issue. I don't know if that answered the question.
It absolutely does, but it sounds like a crazy concept for a business to actually take feedback from clients. Or I guess it seems like many businesses don't listen to their customers, even when they're yelling at the business and saying, this is what we like and what we want. So to hear businesses actually want to implement what the client wants, I feel like this is a no-brainer for people. People need to implement these strategies of what the customer is looking for. And oftentimes that lack of data, lack of information will make me turn away from a website as well, because I feel as if they don't know it well enough to provide that to me.
Exactly. And it's such a crazy idea to listen to your customer, but why is it crazy? Aren't you producing the product because of the customer? Like, isn't that the reason why we're doing all this? So
I
why is it? But I heard it so many times from my clients as well, and especially like the C-level executives that are being like, no, we can't ask our customers. Don't talk to them. And like I've seen other brands really taking that on board and creating a close circle of customers that are the best customers and then taking them out for dinners every other month and chatting to them and understanding what is good with a brand right now, what is bad, where we could do better. And they really gain a lot from that. Not only the client or customer really feels like they have been invited into the brand and being acknowledged as a VIP customer, for example, but also there's so much information in having that conversation that is wild to not actually ask.
I agree. And I only ask because our references here is many of our large businesses are increasing prices and removing features and taking away the features that we all enjoyed or liked about them. So I definitely agree. You want to have that feedback from your customers. And I think that creates more meaningful engagement. You're creating this dialogue and conversation with them. You're getting direct feedback from your customers. And if they start to love your brand even a little bit more, they can become promoters and referrals for your business.
Absolutely. And when people are seeing that you're making improvements based on their feedback as well, how can that be a bad thing? Everyone will love that because you listen and you actually implement. I'd see it as a no-brainer, but it's interesting that value of that needs to be communicated to a lot of brand owners out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when it comes to e-commerce as a whole, I guess from my perspective and what I've seen is some people will focus on a one product store and they make that about their brand and they really go hard on the one product versus some stores will do maybe 5 to 10 or even 100 plus products inside of their store. Do you feel like one or the other is better or does it depend on the person?
I think it depends on the product and the sort of channels that you decide to go for and how you make sense out of your numbers as well. I haven't seen very many stores that do very well with very few products. Obviously, your product needs to be really nailed down really well to make sure that there is that product market fit. Most of the time, I think it's without expanding the range too much. If you know your niche and you can offer more products for that specific niche, it's easier because you have something to get that return customer for as well. One thing, how brands do the one product ecom store well, I don't know how they retain their customers because you need to acquire. And at some point, you're going to run out of the number of people to acquire. So in that sense, I think more products, but still curated that makes sense and not just selling everything for everyone. I think that works better, but I just haven't been a witness of very many brands that do the one product ecom well.
No, I definitely agree. I've been interested to see how people follow the direction of others or what they think might work best. Everyone can have their own success in different ways. But I see a lot of people online and on YouTube promoting e-commerce as a great way for many young people or new entrepreneurs or struggling entrepreneurs to try a new business venture and just go into e-com and do some drop shipping. Are there success stories of this that you've seen before? Or are these kind of seasoned business professionals that you've been working with?
I've seen success stories. I think sometimes there's a big element of luck in there as well. And I think it always still comes back to the product market fit. And that can have a bit of a luck element in that as well. If you got it right for whatever reasons, if you're a novice or you're a seasoned professional, it doesn't matter. If you got it right, you have a good chance at making it happen. Or even if you do as anything else, it takes time, it takes work, it takes understanding of things to run any business. So dipping into e-commerce and thinking that it's an easy way out is definitely not the case, because if you're not going to put the work in, it's not going to work for you anyway. So I think there's a lot of rich, quick tactics out there these days. But even if you run on just purely luck for a few months or years, it's not a long-term strategy. So I don't see it as specifically as like a Pandora's box. If you don't know what to do with your life, go do something with e-commerce. Definitely not. It's a very competitive landscape, especially these days, and businesses are popping up here and there. And if I check back in on brands that I was working with 5 years ago, I wonder how many would be around. I know with fashion specifically, many of those that I was working 5 years ago, they're not around anymore. So it's not something that just prints the money out of nowhere. You have to put the work in, unfortunately.
Yeah. And if you find that fancy money printer, let me know, because I think we're all interested in finding that, right?
Yes, do. I don't know if I believe that it exists. I do believe that you can be in the right time, right place. But even then, if you're not going to continue working on it, making it better, you're going to fall off the cliff at some point.
Absolutely. And considering e-commerce and COVID that happened, where many of us were staying home, and it changed our shopping behavior. It shifted more towards online. The focus was Amazon, but other e-commerce brands were able to be successful during that time frame. Have you seen a shift or a trend change in the other direction now, or is the demand still pretty solid and consistent post-COVID?
I think there's definitely been a bit of a drop since things opened up again since COVID. I actually went in full time on this business in 2020, which was just a year before COVID. So the timing was right for me right there, because everyone who wasn't online, they needed to get online right there and then. So a lot of things in the e-commerce landscape, definitely, I think it like fast forwarded the industry online by like 5 years, because people were not rushing. Certain areas or certain niches were not rushing online. Luxury fashion brands included. They were not the ones to be pioneering the digital way, not at all. But then COVID made everyone go online, and people did, and they had to make the best out of it as quickly as possible, because there was no retail anymore. I think when the retail doors opened again, and I'd see this in myself as well, I like to sometimes pop out and go to the shop, especially if it's something to smell, to try on, to touch, or if I know that the store experience is going to be nice and it might just be an added bonus for me, besides having a walk and not just sitting in front of your computer all day. So I think there's a bit of a shift back, but I definitely think the retail is now expected to be much more experiential. So it's not enough to just have the product there. It needs to be better than the online, because honestly, if it's just for the convenience, then I'll definitely search online, find the product on the cheapest platform that I can, or the one that has a fastest delivery, whatever it may be, and I'm going to buy it. So retail needs to give me that additional that online can't give me these days. But I think blending it together is really cool. And I see a lot of my retail clients starting to nail down their online and just merging the two together and creating strategies that actually benefit both and not just one or the other. Because we can see now with COVID having had that very different experience, we can see that nothing is forever. You may have to close your doors someday and close all of them. Maybe one day we'll need to close our online shops for some reason. Things might happen. So yeah, I think there's definitely a bit of a shift back. And I think it's shifted both industries on how they're perceived and how people are shopping across both retail and online retail.
Very interesting, but I think that highlights the importance of staying on top of the trends and just looking at the data to see what's coming in. So that way you can make adjustments and pivot as needed. Now, Raminta, where can people find you online and get connected with you?
Sure. So I'm mostly active on LinkedIn. You can find me there. My name is Raminta Kersulyte. I'm sure we can drop a link somewhere. So you'll definitely find me there, WFMA agency if you want to contact me and see if we could be a good fit to work together. We've got an email list. You can jump on our email, get some more tips and tricks and strategies in your inbox. These are probably the main platforms for me.
Very nice. And we will have those links available down in the show notes and the description for everybody to get connected. We do have one more last question we wanted to ask. With your years of experience and being in business, what has been your most effective marketing strategy? Are you doing a lot of SEO, blogs, and content? Are you doing a lot of networking and trade shows? Are you going out to just networking events in general? What's been the most effective strategy for connecting with other e-commerce brands?
So for us specifically, content overall, I don't even say the channel anymore. I think it all needs to work together. Search, but overall content, trade shows, and just the network and creating that community as well. Throughout the years, knowing the people and chatting to people and doing the good old word of mouth. So all these things, but yeah, I think the combination of the three sort of content, a little bit of a real life interaction as well, and then a lot of referrals as well come organically from other clients.
That is beautiful. I think it just highlights the importance of a lot of these business practices that haven't changed over the years and the decades. Nothing wrong with a great in-person handshake and meeting someone, but we can complement that with other digital strategies as well and just bring that together. We're just trying to be the most effective for ourselves and for our clients. So if it takes some traditional, non-traditional methods, we just want to use what works.
Absolutely. And I think it is very different for every business and for every business owner. So whatever works for you, find the things that feel nice and easy to do and not the most difficult ones that you don't enjoy doing at all.
Right.
Make your life a little bit easier.
Totally agree. Raminta, we appreciate you coming onto our podcast, sharing your tips and tricks and wisdom with us. Are you prepping and planning anything specific for 2025? Or are you kind of doing just more of all the great work that you've been doing?
I'm venturing into new things. So I'm doing my master's right now on the side of running the business as well. And I'm looking into AI and product lifecycle as well, and sort of marrying all of the data from all of the supply chains. So that's my newest interest area that I'm venturing into, and sort of wanting to join all the dots back together, get even more data from how people use the product and how we can use that for marketing, how we can use it for making better user journeys and making better products and things like that. So that's my latest project.
That is so cool. Congratulations to you. I love that you're going for continuing education and just improving upon the skill set that you've learned already. Raminta, we appreciate your time. Again, congratulations. And we look forward to hearing all your success and updates in the future.
Thanks so much, Chris. Thank you so much for having me.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.